Teacher Jules, and I'll be your facilitator in the subject Introduction to the Philosophy of the Human Person. Okay, so before we start, okay, so let me just give you an activity, and this activity is what we call critical thinking exercise. So the following short quiz consists of 4 questions and tells whether you are qualified to be a professional. So the questions are not that difficult, so don't cheat by looking ahead. All right, so let's begin. For the first question, how do you put a giraffe into a refrigerator? I believe that most of you are already familiar with this question. Di ba? Okay, mas lalo yung mga Ilocano. So, again, the question is, how do you put a giraffe into a refrigerator? Okay, so you have 5 seconds to think. Okay, so time is up. Let's find out the correct answer. Of course, the correct answer is open the refrigerator, put in the giraffe, and close the door. And again, all you have to do is just to open the fridge, put in the giraffe, and close the door. So this question tests whether you tend to do simple things in an overly complicated way. Okay, sometimes we Filipinos make simple things complicated, di ba? Okay. For the question number, how do you put an elephant into a refrigerator? Okay, how do you put an elephant into a fridge or a refrigerator? Okay, another 5 seconds. Okay, time is up. Time's up. So the correct answer is okay. If your answer is you just open the refrigerator, put in the elephant, and close the fridge, then your answer is incorrect. Because the correct answer is open the refrigerator, take out the giraffe, put in the elephant, and just close the door. Okay, so this tests your ability to think through the repercussions of your actions. Okay, next question. The Lion King is hosting an animal conference. So all the animals attend except one. So which animal does not attend? Who among them was not able to attend the animal conference? Another 5 seconds. Okay, so the correct answer is, let's see, you got the correct answer? Of course, the elephant. Why? The elephant is in the refrigerator, remember? Okay, so this tests your memory if you got a good memory. Yeah. For the question number 4, there is a river you must cross. So, but crocodiles inhabit it. How do you manage it? Okay, how are you going to manage if the river that you are going to cross what has many crocodiles? Okay, because they inhabit it. So how do you manage it? Okay, another 5 seconds to answer this question. This question rather. Okay, time is up. Time's up. So the correct answer is, of course, all you have to do is just to swim across. Okay? Lumangoy lang. Why? Because because all the crocodiles are attending the animal conference. So this tests whether you learn quickly from your mistakes. Okay? You learn quickly from your mistakes. All right. So according to Anderson Consulting Worldwide, around 90% of the professionals they tested got all questions wrong, but many preschoolers got several correct answers. So Anderson Consulting says this conclusively disproves the theory that most professionals have the brains of a 4-year-old. Okay. Now, most of you are wondering why. Okay, I asked you to answer those questions and how is it related to our lesson. Okay, let's find that out as we go along. Okay, so our lesson for this morning is all about philosophy. So, what is philosophy anyway? Okay, what comes in your mind when you hear the word philosophy? Okay? So, what I would like you to do is to get a piece of paper and answer that question. Then I want you to check uh, if you answered it right. Okay? You answered it correctly. Okay? So, what is philosophy? So, 5 seconds. Okay, to think. What comes in your mind when you hear the word philosophy? What are the words that you remember when you hear that term, that word philosophy? Okay. All right. So when we say philosophy, okay, the word philosophy comes from the two Greek words philos, which means what? Love, and Sophia, which means wisdom. Therefore, philosophy means the love of wisdom. Okay. So, philosophy is the general and fundamental questions about existence, knowledge, values, reason, mind, and language. So, in other words, class, philosophy deals with the big questions in our lives. Okay, and I believe that most of us ask questions, right? And what are those questions? You might be asking, what is my purpose here on earth? Okay, so there are a lot of questions in our mind that we want to answer, to find out the answer. Okay, so philosophy can be defined as what? The study that uses human reason to investigate the ultimate causes, reasons, and principles which governs all things. Okay? Alright, so doing philosophy means engaging oneself in matters of utility and methodologies to eliminate any practical problem or abstract idea. Since we have several questions in our mind that we are trying to figure out the answers for these questions. Okay, now have you ever looked in the mirror and asked, who am I? Why am I here? What should I do with my life? So oh, if you ask those questions, okay, wala. If you ask those questions, you are already what? Doing philosophy. You are already philosophizing because you are asking those questions in your life. Okay? Okay. Like I said earlier, that a philosophy deals with the big questions in our life. Okay, now let's talk about the nature and characteristics of philosophy. So it is seen as framework, examination of knowledge or a body of knowledge. It is a discipline. It is also a science, and it is an art. Okay. Now, so philosophy is seen as framework because it is the way of thinking about the world and is composed of views and beliefs of a person. That's why sometimes we are being asked by our teacher, okay, what is your philosophy in life? Okay, it talks about your views and beliefs. Okay, your beliefs. Okay, so it is also an examination of knowledge. It is a body of knowledge. Why? Because philosophy provides methodologies and insights on how societal questions such as moral dilemmas of euthanasia or same-sex marriage can be answered. Okay. Now, what is philosophy considered as a discipline? Okay, so philosophy is a discipline that incorporates huge numbers of topics from each and every facet of our lives. Okay, so it is also a science. Because it is the study of humans and the world by thinking and asking questions. Okay, as we all know that in science, okay, you ask questions, and the scientists start with questions. Okay, and I assume that you are already familiar with the scientific method, right? So what is the first step? Of course, making an observation, right? Then after that, you have to ask questions. Okay? So I'm gonna discuss that as in our I think in our third lesson. Okay? More of that. All right. So it is also an art. Why? Because of what? Because philosophy is an art of analytical and critical thinking, the art of the logical and illogical, the art of reasoning. Because if you are studying philosophy, okay, you'll be able to learn how to distinguish bad, okay, distinguish between bad and good reasoning. Okay, all right. So those are nature and characteristics of philosophy. Okay, now let's move on to the major branches of philosophy that deals with a particular aspect of life or phenomena. Okay, now when we talk about branches of philosophy, it is divided into two. It's either cognitive or normative. Under cognitive branch, we have logic, epistemology, and lastly, metaphysics. On the other hand, in normative branches are ethics, political philosophy, aesthetics. And of course, the last one is philosophy of the human person. It can be both cognitive and normative. So it is actually our subject area. Okay. Now let's talk about the cognitive branches of philosophy. Under cognitive branches of philosophy, of course, the first one is logic. So when we say logic, it is a branch of philosophy which deals with correct reasoning and argumentation. Okay, so it is the art of thinking. Okay, so logic studies what? The correct thinking processes. Okay, that's why I mentioned a while ago that when you study philosophy, most particularly logic, okay, you will be able to learn how to what? To identify fallacies in reasoning. So when we say fallacies, these are faulty reasonings. Kumbaga sa Tagalog, baluktot na rason. Okay? So it is very important for us to somehow study logic. Okay? Not only because you want to win the debate, of course, para naman ma-develop ang ating critical thinking skills. Okay. Now, under logic, there are two types of logic. I'm sorry. Okay, so we have the deductive reasoning and the inductive reasoning. Now, the question, okay, what is the difference between these two? Okay, let's talk about deductive reasoning. So when we say deductive reasoning, it is a reasoning from a general truth to a specific truth. In other words, from a universal truth to a specific truth. Okay. Now, okay, so to make it simple, guys, let me use my whiteboard. I was not able to include this to our PPT, to this PowerPoint presentation. So all I have to do is just to write it on the board, and I hope you can see it. Okay? Yan. Ayusin lang natin ating whiteboard. Okay. So in the deductive reasoning, the conclusion comes first. Okay? Yan natin ko nakikita. Conclusion. Conclusion comes first. Okay? The conclusion comes first. Nakikita ba? Okay, conclusion. Then it is followed by main points. Points. Okay? Then the last what? The last one will be the supporting data. Okay, supporting data. Examples, evidences, etc. Okay. So these are your supporting data, supporting evidences, supporting details, all right? Facts, of course. Okay? You have to support your claim with facts. Okay. And by the way, guys, in argument, okay, we have what we call claim, which is your conclusion, and premises. Okay, sayang hindi ko na-include sa PowerPoint. Okay, or the premise. Kamo, when we say claim, it is your conclusion. Your premise is your what? Supporting evidences. Okay. Yeah. I hope that is clear. Okay, so let me give you an example of a statement. Yeah, using deductive reasoning for you to be able to identify the difference between deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning. Yeah, nakikita sana. Okay, let me just give you an example. All men are mortal. Okay, do you agree? Okay, of course, diba? That is your conclusion. Okay, that is your claim. John, mali. Yan, John na lang kasi maisip ng pangalan. John is a man. Okay? Yan, nakikita siguro. Since John is a man, John is mortal. Okay. So, from your conclusion, you are what? Providing supporting idea or supporting evidences. Okay, so all men are mortal. So John is a man. Therefore, John is mortal. That is what? Deductive reasoning. That is an example of deductive reasoning. So I believe that you all agree that all men are mortal. So it is supported by the what statement John is a man. Okay? So John is mortal. Alright? Okay. Another example. Okay? Para medyo madumi ng aking board. Wait lang ha, hanap tayo ng mas. Okay, another example para mas madali. Okay? All numbers, yeah. Numbers ending in 0 and 5. Yeah, para mas nakikita. Yeah. 5 are divisible by 5. Okay. Number 35. Number 35. Okay, ulit ko pa, redundant. Number 35 ends with what? Ends with 5. So, it must be divisible by 5. Okay, so that is the statement. Okay? All numbers ending in 0 and 5 are divisible by 5. So number 35 ends with 5, so it must be divisible by 5. So your conclusion is what? This first statement. So if you would notice, okay, your conclusion comes first. Okay? Before your supporting evidences. Before your premises. Okay? I believe that you all agree that all numbers ending in 0 and 5 are divisible by 5. Correct. So number 35, an example of that is number 35 ends with 5. So it must be what? Divisible by 5. I hope you get it. Okay? So that is an example of deductive reasoning. Okay. Now let's move on to inductive reasoning. Yeah. So when we say deductive reasoning, it is from a specific truth to a general truth. So it is the opposite of deductive reasoning, di ba? Obvious naman. Okay, so from particular to a universal. Okay, so if in deductive reasoning the conclusion comes first, then followed by supporting data, facts, examples, and evidences. Okay, in deductive reasoning, what? Baliktad. Okay, it's the opposite. Okay, in inductive reasoning, it starts with what? Supporting data. Supporting data, supporting facts, examples, and what? Evidences. Your evidences comes first, okay, in inductive reasoning. Then it is followed by main points, okay? Main points. Then the last would be what? Your conclusion. Yeah. Anyway, I'll discuss this in our third, I think in our third lesson. More of this in our third lesson. Okay? Mas palawakin pa natin. We're going to expand this topic. Okay. Now, as you would notice, supporting data, facts, examples, and evidences come first. Okay, then followed by main points and the conclusion. Okay. Now, so what are the examples? So let me give you one example. Yeah. Ito na. Okay. After, okay, I ate, nakikita ba? After I ate is, ano kaya? Eggplant. Eggplant na lang. Eggplant. Okay? My lips swelled. Okay, the first time you ate what? Eggplant, your lips swelled. That's the first time. Okay? Then the second time, that happened again. After I ate eggplant for the second time, my lips swelled. And the third time, you notice on the third time, okay, the third time, after you ate eggplant, your lips swelled. Okay? That is your supporting evidences. Okay? Now, after I ate eggplant, ayan. Ulitin natin ha. After I ate eggplant, my lips swelled. First, second, and third. Right? Para medyo tipid tayo sa tinta. Hindi ko na inulit yung sinulat. Okay. Now, main points, swollen. Okay? Swollen lips. After eating eggplant. Eggplant may be sign of allergy. Okay, so swollen lips after eating eggplant may be sign of allergy. Okay? Therefore, okay, here is now your conclusion. Okay? Your conclusion, okay, would be what? Likely I am allergic to what? Eggplant. Okay? That is your conclusion. Before you jump into that conclusion, you have what? Supporting evidences. Okay, after eating eggplant for several times, okay, as a matter of fact, you ate eggplant third times, right? Then you have noticed that your lips swelled, correct? Now, here is the main point. Swollen lips after eating eggplant may be a sign, okay? May be a sign of allergy. Now, here comes your conclusion. Likely, I am allergic to eggplant. Okay? So, that is a good example of what? Inductive reasoning. Okay? Huwag na natin erase. Huwag muna. Alright, so ito natin, in deductive reasoning, the conclusion comes first, followed by main points. Then what? The supporting data, facts, evidences. Okay. While inductive reasoning, what? Supporting data, facts, evidences come first, right? Then followed by the main points. Then lastly, your conclusion. All right. Ayan. Ayan. Let's talk about another cognitive branch of philosophy. Okay, so we have epistemology. Okay, so when we say epistemology, it is the study of nature of knowledge and knowing. So it deals with the process by which we can know that something is true. All right? So, in other words, guys, epistemology deals with the study of the source of knowledge and how do we acquire knowledge. Okay, now, under epistemology, there are two school of thought. Okay, the first one is rational school, and the second one is empirical school. All right. So when we say rational school, the main source of knowledge is what? Deductive reasoning. So it is based on self-evident principles or action because of the word rational. Talks about thinking before you act. Okay, rational. While the empirical school, the source of knowledge is sense perception. Okay, from the word itself, empirical. So when we say empirical, it talks about our senses. Yeah? Kaya nga scientific method is also known as empirical method. Okay. Right. So another cognitive branch of philosophy is metaphysics. So when we say metaphysics, it is derived from the word meta, which means beyond, and physicon, which means nature. All right. So it is a branch of philosophy which deals with questions regarding reality and existence. So it talks about reality and existence. Those are the two keywords. Okay. Alright. Yan. Nagahang yata ang aking laptop. Now, let's move on to the normative branches of philosophy. The first one is ethics. Okay, so ethics derived from the Greek word ethos, which means character. So it is a branch of philosophy which deals with the study of morality. That's why ethics is also known as what? Moral philosophy. Okay? So the next one is political philosophy. The word itself, political. Political, okay? Politics. Okay, so in political philosophy, it studies what? Governments and deals with questions of justice, power, and the rights and obligations of citizens. All right, so and the last branch of philosophy under normative is aesthetics. So when we say aesthetics, it is a branch of philosophy which deals with beauty and what makes things beautiful. Because what might be beautiful to me might not be beautiful to you, right? Or the other way around. Okay? Sabi nga nila, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Okay? So don't judge a person. 'Di ba? Kung ano yung maganda nga sa kanya, yan ang magagawa mo, 'di ba? Alright. So beauty is relative, correct? Right. Now, of course, another branch of philosophy, it can be both normative and cognitive, is the philosophy of the human person. So it is an area in philosophy that understands the human person from a philosophical perspective. Okay? Right. Now, let's move on to the history of philosophy. Okay. Now, so let's talk about the most notable Greek philosophers. So the first one is Thales of Miletus. So Thales of Miletus was the first person to explain the world and universe outside methodological concepts. So he explained that the world was made up of water. And he is, by the way, teacher of Pythagoras. So he was born in Miletus. It is a city in Greece. Therefore, Greece is a place where ideas of philosophy started. Why? Because it is where Thales Theos was born. Okay. So he is the father of philosophy in the Western civilization. Okay, civilization. Okay, all right. So the second one is Pythagoras. So Pythagoras is an Ionian Greek philosopher. He was the first person to name himself a philosopher. So when we say philosopher again, it is the lover of wisdom. Kaya eh, don't be surprised if philosophers are what? Inquisitive. Diba? Palatanong. They're asking a lot of questions. Okay, so he is known for his, of course, Pythagorean theorem. Okay, theorem in geometry. Right. Another notable um, Greek philosopher, okay, is none other than Socrates. Ayan, pasensya na. I had a technical problem a while ago. So Socrates is the first moral philosopher. He is also known for his Socratic method. So when we say Socratic method, okay, it's the art of questioning. Yeah, art of questioning. So we're gonna talk more of that. Okay, more about that in our third lesson because we'll be talking about the methods of philosophizing. Okay, so he is a teacher of Plato. Okay, he stresses that man must take good care of its soul. So all human beings desire the good according to Socrates. Okay, so he's the student of another notable philosopher. Okay, is a student of Socrates and a teacher of Aristotle. That is, in the person of Plato. Okay, he is the founder of the Academy of Athens. So, according to Plato, the soul is immortal. Even the physical ceased to exist. Right. And according to him, okay, virtue is knowledge. Okay, is knowledge, and the soul is the principle which explains all life. Okay, and for him, existence of abstract objects as well. All right. Another philosopher. Okay, in the person of Aristotle, a student of Plato and teacher of Alexander the Great. On his treatise Parasite, the soul is divided into three types, and each according to each living being. Okay. And the last one is Rene. What? How do you pronounce this? Rene Descartes. Okay, because some students mispronounce his last name. Sabi nila Descartes. No, it's not Descartes. It's Rene Descartes. Okay, he's the father of modern Western philosophy. He's the father of analytical geometry. Okay, I think, therefore I am. Okay, he believes that he believes that what you think you are, therefore you are. Diba? Kung ano ka, kung iniisip mo isa kang inutil, magiging inutil ka, di ba? That's the idea of cogito ergo sum. So whatever you think you are, therefore you are. I think, therefore I am. Okay. So he believed that the mind and body is distinct but closely joined. Magkahiwalay daw yung mind and body, but they are closely joined. Okay, he is okay. Now, actually, there are several philosophers, so I'm not gonna discuss them. Okay, so ito lang muna. All right. Now, let's move on to the assessment part of our lesson. Okay, so let's see if you really understood our discussion. All right. So is the direction. Analyze each questions and identify what branch of philosophy can answer it. Okay, all you have to do is to analyze each question. Okay, then identify what branch of philosophy can answer it. Okay, so how is knowledge acquired? What is the nature of reality? For the question number 3, how should we live? How should the government be organized? And for the question number 5, which arguments are valid and are fallacies? Okay, so I'll give you 5 seconds to answer this question. Okay, for the question number 1, the answer is epistemology because of the keyword knowledge. Okay, for the question number 2, the answer is metaphysics because it deals with reality. Okay, for the question number 3, how should we live? Of course, ethics. And the question number 4, how should the government be organized? So what is the key word there? Of course, the word government. So the answer is political philosophy. And for the question number 5, which arguments are valid and are fallacies? Of course, so the branch of philosophy that studies correct reasoning and argumentation is logic. Okay, here are the last 5 questions. Another 10 seconds. Okay, who should judge what is beautiful or artistic? What makes a government legitimate? How do we know what we know? Is it how we ought to think? What should one do? Okay, so 10 seconds starts now. Okay, time is up. Let's see if you got the correct answer. All right, so who should judge what is beautiful? The keyword is beautiful. Aesthetics, okay? So aesthetic studies what? About beauty, okay? What makes a government legitimate? Of course, it's political philosophy. Then how do we know what we know? Of course, the answer is epistemology. It studies what? The source of knowledge and how is knowledge acquired. And for the question number 9, is it how we ought to think? Of course, when we talk about thinking processes, the branch of philosophy that deals with the study of correct reasoning and argumentation, correct thinking processes, is none other than logic. Okay, and lastly, for the question number 10, what should one do? Of course, the correct answer is what? Ethics. Okay, it tells you what you should do, should how you should behave as individual. All right, so thank you so much for for your participation. And again, I'm Teacher Jules, and I hope you have a good day. Bye bye.